it's Wednesday. This week's topic was one that I chose. We're ranting about articles that we can find in the newspaper. I worded it some other way, but Dave's computer's really bothering me because it's really noisy. I chose my articles from the Mercury, which is a local newspaper. It is pretty much the main newspaper for the state that I live in, Tasmania, and it is notorious for its sensationalism and ridiculousness. It's also really poorly edited. The last time I actually read a physical newspaper copy of the Mercury, I think I read maybe 5 newspaper articles, and 4 of them had really bad spelling mistakes or editing errors that could have been picked up just like that. So this is the quality of the newspaper, which I have picked these stories from. It's a newspaper which pisses me off on a regular basis. This first article is an article about local events, and the headline is "Terror of Parolees' Home Raid." A knife-wielding, earless man who terrorised a couple in their home was an attempted killer on parole, a court has heard. So basically all the information we've got from that first paragraph is exactly what is told in the headline, except for the fact that he's an earless man. In 1997, Neville Roy Arnold, then 23, was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the brutal attempted murder of then-teenager Melissa Lester. So, you know, they're making a really big deal about it, the fact that it's in the past. He was then 23, was sentenced, and she was a then teenager in 1997. So, in case we're all thick and have severely low IQs, they are reminding us that this happened in the past. And they're reporting on it today. Blah, blah, blah. The Crown prosecutor in this case is Joel Coates, who has said his prior convictions can only be described as a shocking record. That doesn't make much sense. Mr. Coates is obviously a very learned man. He said Arnold had numerous convictions, including for assaulting and threatening police, destroying property and disorderly conduct. Something just doesn't sit quite right with me, grammatically there. I can't put my finger on it, but it's an ugly sentence. He waved about a large knife, demanding to know the whereabouts of a young woman. A man came into the hallway and Arnold put the knife to his face, causing a small cut. Dramatic. The court heard Arnold was easy to identify because both of his ears are missing. We already knew this. We learned this in the first paragraph. It was the only useful piece of information the first paragraph gave us. But just in case we missed it, there it is again. The next article is not quite so bad. Those of you who live outside of the state, or if you're like Adam and have been living under a rock for the last 2.5 years and don't know anything, in Tasmania, Guns, who is a big wood chipping type company, they do lots of other things as well, but that's the main thing, they put forward a proposal for a pulp mill. And the pulp mill was pretty much opposed by almost everybody. It's going to create a lot of jobs, but they want to put it in sort of a touristy area and it's going to destroy a lot of things. And regardless of what the objections were to the pulp mill, the public was very much against it. We have had numerous amounts of protests about the pulp mill. What made it worse is the Parliament pretty much illegally rushed through the approval for the process, and not many people had much say in it. The pulp mill is now awaiting funding because all of the people who have previously agreed to fund it have backed out due to public backlash, but now it looks like a few European businesses are going to invest in it and it's going to go ahead anyway. But it is the worst thing to happen to Tasmania for a long time because we're seen as the natural state and people come here for our wildlife, not so much the wide variety of things we have to offer, because let's face it, we don't have that much to offer. We make apples, we do a little bit of wine, but basically it's just because we're more untouched than the rest of the country. Peter Cundall, who is famous because he's a gardener, he's now 82 and has retired, was at one of the protests last year with a lot of other people and was arrested with a big group of protesters, and at the time the media made a huge big deal about it. And now they're reporting on it again because it went to court. When did it go to court? This morning. Mr. Cundall is stating that he will not plead guilty to whatever charges because as far as he's concerned he's not guilty of anything. He was just trying to preserve the integrity of our Parliament, which really he was trying to do. You can't argue with that. I mean, they're all lying bastards. Now, bearing in mind that this article is written for Tasmanians to read in a Tasmanian newspaper, the Parliament of Tasmania, which I think is quite precious, has been brought into disrepute by forcing through legislation in relation to the pulp mill, said Mr. Cundall, who lives in the Tamar Valley, a wine region in northern Tasmania. As I said, pretty much the only 2 things we do in this state are wine and apples. Everybody knows what the Tamar Valley is. And finally, I have a problem with this next article for 2 reasons. 1, it's a bit ridiculous and should never have made the news. 2, it's actually quite scientific and smart, and the Mercury have gone out of its way to make it look ridiculous. The headline is "Aliens Living in Our Noses." Aliens may be right under our noses according to a freak new theory presented to a UFO conference. This week, the Royal Society in London is holding a 2-day meetup for scientists to talk about the state of our search for extraterrestrial life. Fair enough. At a lecture today, astrobiologist Paul Davies of Arizona State University told the crowd that he thinks aliens already walk among us. Well, maybe not walk, more like float or wiggle or wherever else bacteria may locomote. Makes sense too. I mean, this isn't a theory that's completely foreign. We've heard of aliens being here before, and it's absolutely possible in bacterial form. I mean, that's nothing groundbreaking. So I'm yet to see the strangeness. According to the Associated Press, Davies thinks that life from elsewhere in the galaxy has made its way to Earth at several points in human history. Again, fair enough, we've travelled into and out of space. Maybe we have picked up something and brought it back, or maybe something has found its way here. We are just drifting. It's not like we're not just going to pick up things as we go through space. We're not isolated completely. Our atmosphere doesn't protect us from everything that's ever going to break through it. It's possible, he says, that alien life is right under our noses, or even in our noses. And that is the end of the article. Basically, as far as I can see, he was saying that there may be alien life on our planet and that we've got no idea where it is, so we don't know what to expect. But somehow, the Mercury has interpreted that as an actual fact that he actually thinks that there are aliens in our noses. Yes, these are the people that report the news to me every friggin' day. Dom, I did love your video. It was absolutely fantastic and lovely and wonderful and brilliant, and I would love to see you in a show. Would love it. If I ever come to England, I'm going to try and coincide it with some time you're performing in something, because it's something that I really have to see. Happy birthday, and I heard that you're doing rehearsals and preparing for a show, so you're probably not going to do that much. I had to go to a rehearsal on my birthday once, and it was a bit rubbish because everyone knew I didn't want to be there. But it was fun all the same. I'm going to stop talking now because my throat has been playing up for the last couple of days and it's really scratchy and dry, and I keep needing to cough. So, Laura, the way that I read it, it's your turn to put forward a topic on Friday. Adam, I haven't heard from you for a couple of days, so I hope you're still alive. As you can see from the quality of my newspaper, if there had been a major mine collapse in Western Australia, I probably wouldn't have heard about it. Okay. I'm going now to see my mum, and I will see you all next Wednesday. Bye.